And then we'd finish, and then play that funky music like where I can't remember. It might have been
Great song, by the way.
Something like that. We'd come on, and there'd be suddenly there's all these blokes with big collars and shit like that dancing around the floor. So but that was the same in most clubs in Australia. Disco was huge, and people liked to dance to it. And they didn't, you know, there was a lot of bands. I don't think Cold Chisel was the easiest band in the world to dance to.
Well, after Rob Willis going there and watching you, he decides to become your band manager, and as I said, an integral part of Cold Chisel for 32 years after that. The first thing he said to you guys was, okay, what day do you rehearse? Yeah. You'd never rehearsed.
Yeah, well, no, we did rehearse, but not very often. But he said, where do you guys rehearse? And we go, well, we haven't since we come to Sydney, and we've been there for a year or two. And yeah, we rehearsed at the shows, you know, that was our rehearsals. And so he said, oh, maybe you should rehearse, get a rehearsal hall and try and work a few new songs into your set. We're all thinking, yeah, that's a good idea. And I think one of the first songs we actually put in the set was K-San.
Yes.
So good on you, bro, that was a good idea. That's why you pay to be playing the managers, isn't it?
Look, whilst in Cold Chisel, you decided to do a small stint with Fraternity. So you left Cold Chisel, you went to Fraternity, but even though you weren't there that long, you said you learnt your best singing techniques from Fraternity, and you got your best review whilst playing with Fraternity. Tell us more.
Fraternity was a band that were huge in Adelaide. At this pub where we used to play called the Lark's Pier Hotel. Fraternity was Bon Scott, was the singer. And I remember when they first started, they were sort of like a bit of a hippie-ish sort of band. Bon had a beard like a gnome, and he used to play recorder, and it was sort of like hippies, and like probably everybody was, like 60s, 70s. And but by the time I seen them, they'd gone to England, they changed their name to Fang, and they were just brutal. They were a brutal hard rock band, right? And they came back to Adelaide, and they sort of imploded a bit, and Bon had a major motorbike accident, and so they shopped around for a new singer, and they got my brother Swanee to sing, and then Swanee had a fight with the drummer, and so then John said, he told the other guys, he said, I'll go on the drums because he's a great drummer, and he said, and I'll get as a singer, and my brother had a way of talking me into doing stuff all the time, so he talked me into leaving Cold Chisel, my favourite band. So he's like, we're really good, Jim, me and you, two brothers together, we'll have a great time. And so I said, yeah, right, so I was gullible. And I joined Fraternity. Fraternity had a bass player called Bruce Howe, and Bruce played on my first solo record. Big old Bruce, we call him. He had a bald head, like leather jacket, unbelievable bass player. But Bruce was so tough that if I sang badly or if I sang flat for a minute, he'd hit me on the back of the head with his bass on stage. So he was like a brutal taskmaster, and I reckon that's probably why Bon was such a good singer, because he was with it for 10 years, he must have been black and blue. We were with Fraternity, and we built this PA that was we were so loud. We set up this PA, it was like bigger than, as big as this stage. The gig was half the size of this room, and it was glass down one side, and we went on stage for the first show. Place was packed, Fraternity had this huge following, and we hit the first few chords of our set and bust the windows, crack the windows. It was so loud, it was painful. There was about 30 metres in front of the audience where they all sort of pulled away and went back. So we got our one and only review in the paper, and it said that we sounded like Deep Purple OD'd on methadone. So we cut it out, we stuck it on the fridge, and we're very proud of it.
Let's go to 1981 now. I want to talk about that Countdown Awards and video night. Now, you had a real aversion to going on Countdown simply because everybody that went on there, it was mimed and it was not live. And you share a very funny story, and I'm sure lots of people have seen this now on YouTube anyway. 1981 Music Awards, tell us more, Countdown.
So a Countdown, we didn't like Countdown because they like to have control. That's why they made the bands mime, so the sound would always be regular and even, and they control nothing wild was going to happen to them. It was safe. And we were the opposite. We only wanted wild stuff to happen. In fact, I know that particularly myself, I felt more comfortable. The wilder it got, the more comfortable it was because I could hide in there. It meant I could hide in the chaos. So Countdown would wanted us to be on, but they would only want us to be on if we mimed, and we said no. And K-Sam was starting to become a reasonably big song on the radio just before it got banned. But we weren't stupid. We knew because Countdown, you know, people, I used to go home on a Sunday night to sit and watch Countdown as well. You know, Countdown you know, radio wasn't great in those days in Australia, and it was very difficult for young bands to get on radio. But if you get on Countdown, if you get on Countdown 1 or 2 times, you double your crowds, you know. And as a band, all we wanted to do was get to more people so we could play more music, louder music, better music, buy better gear so we could, you know, we'd translate it a bit, we'd write better songs, better gear, all that sort of stuff. So we thought we'd use Countdown. And then we decided, we talked them into letting us go on, but I was going to sing live for K-San. And we got there at 7 in the morning, because Countdown used to start filming at 7 in the morning, which was half an hour before we went to bed, so it was a problem. We got the Countdown, you know, and you know, I remember, except, you know, later on when we did do it, I seen myself on there, I'm like, you know, wired and, you know, drunk. But we got there and they said, oh, right, ready to go on, but we want you to change the lyrics to K-San. And we said, no, we won't do it. You know, they didn't like the idea of the line, their legs were often open and their minds were often closed, always closed. And we're sitting there and this guy's telling us that this line wasn't right, you know, it wasn't right for TV. In the meantime, on the screen behind him, Rod Stewart's got his head between some girl's legs going, ah, legs, you know. And we're thinking there's something wrong with this picture. So we said, no, we're not doing it. And so they wouldn't let us on the show. It took a little while longer, and believe me, we knew the value of the show, because in the meantime, all these bands were coming on and getting on that show and filling auditoriums, filling halls, filling pubs, selling records more than Cold Chisel. So the next record, you know, Breakfast at Sweethearts, we decided to go on again, and this time we mimed, or well, they mimed, I sang, and it went reasonably okay. Look, we looked stupid, but that's another story. And we ended up going on a few times, and we've seen that the crowds doubled. We started, you know, doing, you know, festival halls instead of bloody, you know, instead of little pubs, and so it really worked for us. The next record we did was East, and it went through the roof, right? And so Countdown, Countdown really wanted us, you know, on there all the time. And come they had these TV Week Countdown Awards, and we knew we were going to win a bunch of them, you know. And I think they had 8 or 10 awards, or 12 awards, and we won 8 or 9, right? And so we had them over the barrel, and we said, all right, we'll come. They wanted us on their TV show, and we said, yeah, we'll come on, but we'll play live. And they couldn't say no. We had them, and it was sort of like payback. So we decided we were going to, you know, send a little message to them. So we snuck into the rehearsal room, and we were going to smash up the set. That was the plan. We didn't want to smash up our gear because we valued our equipment. We didn't like, you know, we had good guitars. We weren't going to smash them up. So we went and bought these really shitty guitars, and we rubbed out the names on the top and got Fender transfers and put them on all the, you know, the bass and the guitar. And we went on. We started with this song of mine called "My Turn to Cry," and then halfway through it, without them knowing it, we changed the feel and dropped into this groove saying, "I never seen you when I was hungry." You know, and I'll eat this, and then we smashed up the gear. And I remember Phil Small had his bass, and Phil was dressed in a Nazi outfit. I don't know why. And Phil's got his bass, and he's trying to smash it over the amp, and it wouldn't break. And so he paid, you know, $100 for this bass. And so as soon as we came off stage, I said, "I'll buy that bass off you." And I've got it still. And it still works perfectly. It was a bargain. But we came off, and I remember leaving the place, and we thought it was very funny. It was just a bit of a joke, really. And Countdown took it really, really seriously, and so we didn't care.
Well, I guess at this point we should acknowledge, though, Molly Meldrum for bringing Australian music to the forefront.
But no, Molly, listen, Countdown, like I said, broke a lot of bands. It did a lot of great stuff. So, and there were some great moments on Countdown. I mean, watching Iggy Pop on Countdown, you know.
Oh my gosh, now that's a video.
It's just, and these kids who were there to see JPY, and Iggy Pop was out there, and they were like terrified. It was good. But they did a lot for Australian music. Molly is a big, he pushes. I make the joke say he bends over forward to help. But it's a bit rough, but I'm sure he would mind.
Of all the Cold Chisel songs, you talk about Flame Trees being, you know, a song that's really dear to you, talking about returning home and reminiscing. Another great song is Saturday Night, which, as you suggest, gives the smells and the sound of Sydney. It doesn't matter how many times you listen to that song, it just, as soon as you hear it, you can sort of see what's going on, like when you're reading a great book. What is your all-time favourite Cold Chisel song?
Oh man, it's tough. You know,
It is like picking your favourite child in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's even more difficult, I think, because it depends. It depends on the night, you know.
What about if I had to ask you to pick between Snoop and...
Snoop and Oliver, there's
Oliver?
no choice. They're twins. My dog's there, by the way. No, but you know, I mean, I think, you know, I love singing Flame Trees. Somebody said to me, if you had to sing one song, you know, every night for the rest of your life, what would you pick? I'd probably pick Flame Trees, for a lot of reasons. But I think my favourite Cold Chisel song is a song called Letter to Alan. And I like it because it's a song about of some good friends of ours who used to work for us and were, you know, real close friends of mine who died in a truck crash. And it's a song, you know, for me it's sort of like a bit of a metaphor for my life. You know, whenever I, you know, felt hurt or wounded or sad, I get aggressive. That's how I dealt with any sort of pain or anything. I would be aggressive. And that song is like that. It starts off, you know, I'm singing about, you know, my friends who got killed in the truck, and I sing it, and when I sing it, I can feel my heart breaking. And the way I deal with it every night, I just shriek the rest of it, you know. And the band, it's got this groove that's really unique to Cold Chisel. And I don't know any other bands who play songs that sound like that. So that's probably one of my favourites.
All right, we are fast running out of time, unfortunately. My gosh, it went so quick. Talking about your songs, though, and I say this to many artists when I speak to them, is that, you know, you've put so many songs out there, ones, you know, written by Don Walker and yourself and everybody else. You've put all these songs out there and they are special to you, but they are so special to other people. They've become other people's memories. They've become other people's stories. They become that song when they hear it, when you sing it, is something that is so close to their heart. So, you know, I often think how wonderful it is that you've created something that will live on forever in someone's memory and then often get passed down to their children who hear their parents playing this song, as what's happened with the Cold Chisel stuff and Jimmy Barnes and all the rest of it. It must be wonderful, Jimmy, to be able to do that.
It's a big
blessing.
It's a beautiful thing. I mean, really, I think one of the reasons, particularly with the Chisel songs, is just the quality of Don's songs. You know, I mean, Don Walker. When I started singing his songs, you know, as a young fella, I had no problem completely being consumed by the words, because if I felt like they were about me, I felt they were for me, and I think that's the reason why people like them, because people see their own themselves in the songs. They see their own lives, their own times in it. I mean, you know, I had people come up to me and talk to me out on the street and tell me, you know, they play our songs, you know, at weddings and at you know, funerals of their children. You know, these songs are part of their lives, and to have to be allowed into people's lives that much is something that's really special, and I don't take it lightly. It's really, you know, I mean, it's just amazing. I couldn't, you know, I never thought I'd be that, you know, doing that in someone else's life. It's just incredible.
Thank God for the music, Jimmy Barnes. Look, we are, as I said, fast running out of times. You're coming back to our shores next April. You're going to play at the Perth Concert Hall, April the 19th, for a Stories and Song Tour. And this is another concept that I really love. Not only are you getting up there playing your guitar and doing the songs, but in between the songs, you're going to tell a little bit of a story about possibly that song or something that happened in your life in that time.
Yeah, well, that tour sort of developed really organically. The last one, the Working Class Boy, and it was just the songs were like part of the stories, and the stories were sort of like were part of the songs. And the songs actually sometimes were release valves for the stories. And I think that was just something I really enjoyed, and that's what we're doing with this show. And obviously this period and this second book, there's a lot more music to choose from, and a lot more music to, you know, that we were playing and you know, and making at the time. So I think it's going to be a really interesting tour, and I really look forward to doing it. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to having you back in April. Just very lastly, I'm finishing off now, but I wanted to say, just to remind you how blessed you really are, and it's so fantastic to hear that, you know, you've gone and got help, and you're on the road to, you know, you've recovered, and you've done so well for yourself. You start actually the book by saying, for my Jane, I love you, I have loved you, I will always love you. Of course, there's always behind a great man, a great woman. So fantastic, Jane, and she's really supported you and been behind you since day dot. You acknowledge your children and grandchildren and of course your two fairy friends. And we hope you didn't do a Johnny Depp and bring them with you, Jimmy.
I wish they were.
Yes, I know, because how you do miss them a lot.
You know what? I think I've just been lucky. I've been so blessed to have such a great family, such a great partner, Jane. I remember the minute I seen Jane. So we've been together for 38 years, and married. You can just for a minute imagine being married to me. It's a tough thing, I love Jane dearly, and I just think, there's been a lot of mistakes made and all that sort of stuff, but I forgive her anyway.
I think he should shush right now, my son would say. She's beautiful.
She's going to kill me. No, but the truth is, Jane, one of the most important things that I know that Jane has said to me is that marriage isn't, because I remember the minute I seen her, and I remember being short of breath, and it was just spectacular how beautiful she was and all that. And that's just part of love, the real love is about going through all the hard stuff, and sometimes it's not pretty, and sometimes it's not good, and other times it's spectacular, and every part of it is as important as the next. So it's just I'm so blessed to have a girl like that in my life.
How beautiful she was, how beautiful she still is. Mr.
Yes.
Jimmy Barnes, thank you so much for your time.
Who's got a question? Because I think there's more than one side to Mr. Barnes. Your name is?
Michelle. Hi, Jimmy.
Hi there.
I just want to thank you for everything that you've brought to my life. My parents brought us up loving every single bit of your music. Two sisters and a brother jamming in the lounge room at night time with mum and dad. And the legacy lives on. This is my 16-year-old son, and you are his idol, and I just want to thank you.
Thanks so much.
I just want to also tell you what's your favourite Jimmy Barnes song, because not Cold Drizzle, but just Jimmy Barnes.
That changes too from night to night, depending on how well we're playing. But there's a couple of songs I really like. I love a song called Love and Hate, because it's so brutal, and it just and I thought I was writing this. I was having a fight with Jane, and I thought I was writing a song real nasty. And when I finished writing, I realised I'd written it about myself, and it really was a nasty piece of work. But I really like the energy of the song. I love Working Class Man. It's a song that's it's defined a career for me. So I really enjoy that song. Depends on the night. It changes all the time.
Well, I'd like to tell you mine's No Second Prize.
Yeah, that's a pretty good.
And you're No Second Prize. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Question up there.
Yeah, mate.
Hi, Jim.
How are you, buddy?
Just a question. I saw a YouTube. Congratulations on your book too.
Thanks, man.
Brilliant. And I saw a YouTube clip the other day of yourself and David, Mahalia. You were all sitting around in the lounge room, singing. You might recall this.
We do this quite often. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say it was absolutely brilliant to hear.
Yeah.
For one thing, and I really do believe that you should do, or if you're contemplating maybe doing a show one day down the track with David, with your whole family, because I'll tell you what, the way that sounded on that clip was brilliant.
Well, see, there's something about singing with your kids, or with genetics, you listen to the Finn brothers, with the harmonies together, just perfect. When I sing with my kids, it's really great. David, Mahalia, myself, and the rest of the kids actually did a show quite a few years ago for the Adelaide Cabaret Festival. We called it Dad and Dave. and we just did songs together, and it was awesome. So we've been looking at trying to find the right time to do a record together, and look at the right sort of songs. Obviously, there's Mahalia's a soul singer, David's, show tunes and cabaret and all sorts of stuff. He's a great singer. We're all different, so we've got to find the right vehicle for it, but we will. Yeah, and it's good, they're all. My kids make me sound good when they sing. It's really great.
Anita, I'm going to come from the other side of the room here because I love it when youngsters are here. Your name is Nikki.
How you going, Barnesy?
I'm very good. How are you?
Oh, this is great. So I want to know. Mum's told me many stories of how she went to what was it? The last show you went to? And you heard your whole story. I want to know how you dealt with the hangovers. I've just turned 18, and
Listen.